A medieval noble's tomb was opened in Russia. What archaeologists found inside changed history. A buried tomb hidden beneath the ground suddenly revealed secrets that had remained unknown for thousands of years. A set of human remains carrying strange traces left scientists completely puzzled. A seemingly small artifact that was powerful enough to change the way humanity views an entire civilization. All of these discoveries raise one major question. Could human history still be hiding secrets that we have yet to uncover? Hello, and welcome to the Ancient History Channel, where we explore the mysterious stories of civilizations that once existed, incredible archaeological discoveries, and historical events that continue to fascinate the world to this day. Dear friends, archaeology is not simply about digging up ancient objects or forgotten ruins. It is a journey back through time, where every broken piece of pottery, every ancient skeleton, every inscription carved into stone, or every object discovered beneath the earth can become a clue that helps humanity piece together stories that have been hidden by the passage of time. Thanks to archaeological discoveries, we can glimpse how ancient people lived, how they built powerful empires, what they believed in, and sometimes even the darker chapters of history that no one wanted to remember. Did you know that over hundreds of years, archaeologists around the world have uncovered countless shocking secrets? From ancient tombs that reveal mysterious rituals practiced by people thousands of years ago, to burial sites that appear ordinary but contain traces of wars, conflicts, and unexplained traditions. Even a tiny object discovered deep underground can sometimes force experts to completely rethink everything they previously understood about an ancient civilization. So, during their greatest years of exploration, what discoveries have archaeologists brought to humanity? What secrets have been uncovered beneath the earth? And which discoveries have left the entire world speechless? In today's video, we will explore terrifying archaeological discoveries that shocked the world. Discoveries that not only amazed scientists, but also revealed mysterious stories about humanity's forgotten past. Are you ready? Let's begin with the very first discovery right now. A medieval noblewoman's tomb in Russia reveals a ritual that shocked the world. Did you know that when it comes to archaeological discoveries, especially ancient tombs, they always hold a very special fascination? Some tombs carry secrets that have remained unsolved for hundreds or even thousands of years, while others immediately leave the entire archaeological community stunned the moment they are opened. Not because they are filled with gold, silver, or precious treasures, but because what lies inside tells a mysterious story about a culture that existed long, long ago. A powerful example of this is a tomb discovered in the Sayan Mountains of southern Siberia, Russia. If someone were to look at it from the outside, they would probably think it was nothing more than a simple mound of earth surrounded by large stones, with nothing particularly unusual about it. However, as soon as archaeologists began excavating, they quickly realized that they were standing before one of the rare medieval noble burial sites ever discovered in the region. The story began in 2014, when experts carried out an archaeological excavation in preparation for a railway construction project passing through the Sayan Mountains, a vast mountain range stretching from southeastern Russia to northern Mongolia. During their work, they discovered dozens of ancient graves along with traces of settlements that had existed for many centuries. However, among countless archaeological sites, one particular mound captured the attention of the entire research team. And just as they had suspected, what was hidden beneath the ground far exceeded all expectations. Inside the tomb were the remains of a woman estimated to be around 40 years old, buried together with an infant, the spine of a sheep, as well as the skull, limbs, and even the complete hide of a horse that had been skinned. This burial method alone was enough to surprise many experts because it represented an extremely rare ritual practiced by medieval nomadic communities living across the steppes. According to archaeologists, placing the horse's hide and body parts inside the grave was not simply a farewell ritual for the deceased. Instead, it reflected spiritual beliefs as well as the very special status and position of the person buried there. But the discoveries did not stop there. What made this excavation even more fascinating was the large number of valuable artifacts found inside the tomb. Among the most remarkable objects was an ancient mirror, a pair of silver stirrups, and many other personal belongings. Through analysis, experts discovered that the ancient mirror was decorated with flowing vine patterns and clusters of grapes, a style of design commonly found on mirrors belonging to the aristocratic class during China's Tang dynasty, which lasted from 618 to 907 AD. Meanwhile, one of the two stirrups displayed Chinese artistic influences, but also showed clear elements from Indian and Persian art, revealing the strong cultural exchanges that took place across Asia during the 10th century. According to the traditions of nomadic peoples, this was likely a ceremonial stirrup, which was usually placed in a prominent position on the left side of the horse. In addition, the woman was buried with a pair of gold-plated bronze earrings, fragments of mirrors that had been intentionally broken as part of a funeral ritual, an iron knife, and a stone spindle used for manually spinning wool. Interestingly, despite the large number of artifacts discovered, researchers believe that most of these objects were probably not everyday possessions of the woman. Instead, they were likely offerings placed into the grave by her family and clan to show respect and honor her high social status after death. Because of the uniqueness of this tomb, as well as the enormous number of artifacts requiring preservation and study, experts needed more than 10 years to complete a comprehensive analysis. The results of 2 detailed studies were later published in the Bulletin of Novosibirsk State University, Series History, Philology. Although radiocarbon dating methods only determined that the tomb dated somewhere between the 9th and 13th centuries, based on the style and characteristics of the artifacts, archaeologists were able to narrow down the timeline and conclude that the woman and child were most likely buried during the 10th century. More importantly, the presence of numerous artifacts carrying influences from different cultures led researchers to believe that the woman and infant belonged to the highest levels of nobility in the society of that era. Research co-author Oleg Mitko from Novosibirsk State University in Russia also emphasized that the horse-related artifacts discovered in the burial site represent an extremely rare find for this region. And even today, whenever archaeologists look back at this remarkable tomb, they continue to consider it one of the most valuable pieces of evidence for understanding the lives, beliefs, and extensive cultural connections of Central Asian nomadic peoples more than 1,000 years ago. Indeed, this is truly an unbelievable discovery, isn't it? The woman's skeleton that carried male chromosomes for 2,000 years without anyone knowing. Do you believe that a person could live their entire life as a woman, be recognized by everyone around them as female, and be buried with all the traditional rituals reserved for women? Yet more than 2,000 years later, modern DNA analysis reveals that this person carried male chromosomes? It sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? In fact, many people might feel that such a discovery sounds like something taken straight from a science fiction movie. But surprisingly, this is a real discovery that forced archaeologists and geneticists to spend years searching for an explanation. The story began in 1979 during an archaeological excavation on Harper Road in the city of London, England. Experts discovered a skeleton that had been carefully buried inside a wooden coffin beneath the road. Later, based on the shape of the skeleton, especially the structure of the pelvis and skull, all experts reached the same conclusion. These were the remains of a woman who lived during the Roman Empire, sometime between 50 and 70 AD, when London was still known as Londinium. At that time, no one could have imagined that this skeleton contained such a remarkable secret. The woman had been buried with many valuable grave goods. Near her feet was a necklace, believed to have been a symbol identifying the deceased as female. In addition, the coffin contained a vessel placed near the head and a bronze mirror positioned near the feet. These artifacts suggested that the owner of the tomb was not only buried with a respectful ceremony, but also likely held a relatively high social status within the community of that period. It was not until many decades later, when DNA analysis technology had advanced significantly, that the true secret of the skeleton began to emerge. A research team from the British Museum, along with several other research institutions, conducted DNA analysis on 4 of approximately 20,000 skeletons preserved in collections, with the goal of understanding the population structure of Roman London. The results revealed that Londinium at the time was an extremely diverse city in terms of ethnicity and culture. People of European ancestry made up only about 45% of the population, while more than 100 different languages were spoken across various parts of the city. However, the most surprising discovery for the research team came from the remains of this particular woman. Chemical analysis of her teeth showed that she was born in Britain, although her maternal family line originated from Northern Europe. Based on her DNA, scientists also determined that she had brown eyes and dark brown hair. Everything appeared completely ordinary, until the chromosome analysis results were revealed. Instead of carrying only two X chromosomes, XX, like most women, this skeleton carried both an X and a Y chromosome, XY, a genetic pattern more commonly associated with males. In other words, from a genetic perspective, the person buried in this tomb carried male chromosomes. This discovery shocked even the scientists themselves, because the physical characteristics of the skeleton still clearly indicated that the individual was female. According to experts, nature does sometimes produce extremely rare cases, only a few instances among every 1,000 births, where a child has genetic characteristics that differ from typical male or female patterns. One hypothesis suggests that this ancient woman may have had androgen insensitivity syndrome, AIS. People with this condition typically have a female appearance but carry XY chromosomes. However, because the skeleton is more than 2,000 years old and no longer contains enough biological material for complete testing, researchers have stated that they cannot confirm with certainty whether this condition was the cause of her unusual genetic characteristics. What makes this discovery even more remarkable is that, despite having such a rare genetic trait, there is no evidence suggesting that this woman was rejected or treated differently by her community. On the contrary, the respectful burial practices and valuable grave goods indicate that she was not only accepted by society at the time, but may also have been a respected individual who held an important position within her community. To this day, the skeleton discovered on Harper Road in London, England, remains one of the rarest cases ever recorded in both archaeology and genetics. This discovery has not only helped scientists better understand human biological diversity more than 2,000 years ago, but it also reminds us that history still holds countless secrets waiting to be uncovered through modern technology. Sometimes a single DNA result can completely change what humanity has believed to be true for decades. You see, archaeology is truly fascinating, isn't it? 6,000-year-old mass grave in France reveals a horrifying Neolithic massacre. If someone asked you whether humans 6,000 years ago had ever carried out bloody massacres, what would you say? Perhaps many people would think that such stories only exist in movies. But did you know that this actually happened in real life? And not somewhere far away, but right in the city of Bergheim, eastern France? It was here that archaeologists discovered a mass grave containing human remains with terrifying evidence of violence. The moment the ancient burial pit gradually emerged from beneath the ground, the research team realized they were standing before an extremely unusual archaeological site. Unlike many ancient graves that contain only one or two skeletons, this location contained as many as 7 human skeletons. Analysis revealed that they belonged to 2 men, 1 woman, and 4 children. In addition, researchers also discovered the skull of a newborn baby, along with numerous scattered fragments of hand bones and arm bones lying at the bottom of the pit. The scene caused many experts to compare it to the aftermath of a massacre rather than a normal burial site. According to archaeologist Fanny Chenal from the Antilla Institute of Archaeology in Hobsheim, France, the composition of the individuals buried in the pit alone already suggested that this was not simply a group of warriors, but rather an entire small community that had suffered the same tragic fate. From this evidence, researchers believe that the people found in the pit most likely died during an attack or armed conflict. After being killed, their bodies were placed inside an ancient circular pit for burial. However, what has especially puzzled archaeologists is the discovery of several left arms that had been deliberately cut off with axes or other sharp weapons. Strangely, most of the skeletons were still complete and had both arms intact. Only one male skeleton showed signs of a severe blow to the skull and was missing its left arm. Nevertheless, scientists still cannot determine whether the missing arm belonged to one of the scattered bone fragments found at the bottom of the pit. This remains one of the greatest mysteries of the excavation. The investigation did not stop there. As researchers continued analyzing the site, they discovered fragmented hand bones scattered throughout the bottom of the pit. According to Fanny Chenal and her colleagues, this evidence suggests that the hands from the severed arms had been intentionally smashed rather than damaged through natural decomposition. However, why the attackers specifically targeted the left arms remains unknown. One hypothesis suggests that these arms may have been taken as trophies after a battle, a practice that existed in some ancient cultures. However, this remains only a theory. Furthermore, radiocarbon dating revealed that the individuals buried in the pit lived approximately 6,000 years ago, during the Neolithic period. During this era, agricultural communities often buried the dead in circular pits. However, the discovery at Bergheim carries a completely different meaning. According to scientists, this is the first evidence showing that these circular pits were also used to bury victims of violent conflicts. Fanny Chanel herself stated that the discovery at Bergheim opened an entirely new direction for archaeological research. According to her, this was the first time archaeologists could directly connect Neolithic circular burial pits with evidence of armed conflict. However, this discovery has raised more questions than answers. Previously, scientists had proposed many different theories about the purpose of these pits. Some believed they were originally storage pits for food supplies and were later reused as burial places. Others suggested that they were graves for high-status individuals, where servants or relatives may have been sacrificed and buried alongside them. There were even theories that slaves were killed and buried as offerings to the gods. Alongside the human remains, the archaeological team also discovered several other artifacts, including a piece of jewelry made from seashells, a stone spearhead, a piece of pig jawbone, and 2 skeletons of wild rabbits. Even more remarkably, just 3 years before this pit was discovered, archaeologists had already excavated 60 other circular pits in Bergheim. Among them, 13 pits contained human remains or scattered human bones. This suggests that the area may have witnessed far more tragic events than we previously understood. A truly horrifying and disturbing discovery, isn't it? The oldest high-altitude settlement in Papua New Guinea, a 49,000-year-old secret rewriting human history. For many decades, scientists believed that our ancestors only dared to live in lowland areas while the Ice Age covered the Earth. With freezing temperatures, thin air, and extremely limited food sources, high mountains were almost considered impossible places for prehistoric humans to survive. However, an archaeological excavation on the island of Papua New Guinea, a country located in Oceania, completely overturned this long-standing assumption. Here, at an elevation of nearly 6,560 feet above sea level, archaeologists discovered the remains of a settlement dating back almost 49,000 years. Not only is this considered the oldest known high-altitude human settlement ever discovered, but the finding also forced scientists to reconsider the entire journey of how our ancestors conquered some of the planet's harshest environments. So, what allowed these early humans to survive in cold, mountainous regions at a time when much of the Earth was still covered in ice? Let's find out. As mentioned earlier, this remarkable discovery was made by researchers in a mountainous region of Papua New Guinea, an area known for its rugged landscape and harsh climate throughout the year. There, they uncovered traces of 6 ancient shelters with a combined area of nearly 21.5 square feet. Although most of these structures had been erased by the passage of time, the remaining evidence was still enough to confirm that humans had lived in this region for an extended period. What surprised archaeologists the most was the age of this settlement. Previously, many experts believed that around 50,000 years ago, while the Earth was still experiencing the Ice Age, humans had not yet developed the ability to adapt to high-altitude environments. They believed that the earliest human communities lived mainly in lowland regions or along coastlines, where the climate was milder and food resources were more abundant. That is why discovering evidence of human habitation on a mountain nearly 6,560 feet high was already astonishing. But the dating results made the discovery even more remarkable. To determine the age of the site, scientists analyzed carbon components from stone tools discovered at the excavation area. The results showed that the settlement was approximately 49,000 years old, meaning humans reached and adapted to this high-altitude environment much earlier than scientists had previously imagined. This discovery proved that the survival abilities of prehistoric humans were far greater than earlier assumptions suggested. Just imagine, nearly 50,000 years ago, without modern thermal clothing, without solid houses, and without the advanced technology and support systems we have today, how are humans able to survive in a freezing mountain environment? Where did they find food? How did they deal with freezing winds and low oxygen levels? Every remaining trace from this ancient settlement reveals more questions that archaeologists are still trying to answer today. Not only has this discovery changed our understanding of ancient human survival abilities, but the find in Papua New Guinea has also contributed to the ongoing debate about the migration journey of Homo sapiens. To this day, the origin and timing of when modern humans left Africa remain among the most debated topics in archaeology and genetics. For many years, the widely accepted theory was that humans began leaving Africa around 60,000 years ago. However, recent studies have provided new evidence. DNA analysis suggests that human migration may have occurred earlier than scientists once believed. Furthermore, another research group, after dating stone tools discovered in India and the Arabian Peninsula, suggested that humans may have reached these regions as early as around 70,000 years ago. Of course, this remains only a hypothesis, but if it is proven correct, the history of human migration will once again need to be rewritten. That is why the high-altitude settlement in Papua New Guinea is not simply an archaeological discovery. It is like an important missing piece that helps scientists better understand the journey of our ancestors as they spread across the world. Every stone tool and every trace of ancient shelters tells the story of a community that dared to enter an environment that modern humans once believed was impossible to survive in. Even more fascinating is that before this site was discovered, the high-altitude settlement of Homo sapiens on the Tibetan Plateau was considered the oldest mountain settlement known to humanity. However, new research shows that the site in Papua New Guinea is at least 19,000 years older. This single detail alone is enough to make the discovery a major milestone in global archaeology. Perhaps the most fascinating thing about archaeology is exactly this. A few simple stone tools or the remains of small ancient shelters can completely change what humanity once believed to be the truth. And that is what makes the story of our past so incredibly fascinating. Mysterious lion-headed artifacts in a 1,900-year-old tomb in Israel. An unsolved archaeological mystery. For thousands of years, lions have been regarded as symbols of strength, courage, and power in many ancient civilizations. Images of these animals often appeared on temples, palaces, city gates, and even burial sites, serving as guardians of the souls of the deceased. That is why, when archaeologists discovered 4 bronze artifacts carved with lion heads inside an ancient tomb at Khirbet Ibreka, Israel, they believed that these objects were certainly more than simple decorations. However, despite years of research, experts have still been unable to determine their exact purpose. Were they handles attached to a coffin? Objects used in burial ceremonies? Or did they carry a deeper spiritual meaning? To this day, these mysterious lion heads remain one of archaeology's most fascinating unanswered questions. This remarkable discovery was made in 2018 when the Israel Antiquities Authority (IAA) conducted an archaeological excavation at Khirbet Ibreka, Israel, before the construction of a new railway line in the area. This type of excavation is a required archaeological survey designed to protect historical remains that may be hidden underground before modern construction projects begin. And just as expected, the excavation led to an extremely valuable discovery when archaeologists uncovered 8 Roman-era tombs. Among the discovered burial sites, one tomb immediately attracted the attention of experts. In the southern corner of the tomb, researchers found 4 bronze discs decorated with finely carved relief images of lion heads. Dating analysis revealed that these artifacts were approximately 1,900 years old, while the tomb itself was determined to date back to around the 1st or 2nd century AD during the period of the Roman Empire. But the discoveries did not stop there. The excavation also revealed another interesting find. Near the bronze lion heads, archaeologists discovered 4 circular handles, also made of bronze. After examination, experts concluded that these ring-shaped handles were likely once attached to the tops of the lion heads, creating a complete set of artifacts. Doesn't that seem unusual? Across the former territories of the Roman Empire, archaeologists have also discovered many bronze discs featuring lion heads. However, in most of those examples, the circular handles were attached through the mouths of the lions. At Khirbet Ibreka, they were positioned on top of the lion heads instead. This small but unusual detail is what makes this collection of artifacts an exceptionally rare discovery. The 2 archaeologists who directly supervised the excavation Elie Haddad and Elisheva Zwiebel, describe the discovery as a unique and rare collection of artifacts. Not only are these objects different in design, but they were also found inside a tomb with many unusual characteristics, raising new questions about burial rituals during the Roman period. But there was more. During the investigation, the archaeological team also discovered a large iron nail that still preserved traces of wood. This provided evidence that a wooden coffin once existed at the site. However, over time, the wood completely decayed and disappeared, leaving behind only the iron nail and the bronze artifacts. Based on the remaining evidence, researchers proposed that the 4 bronze lion heads and their circular handles may have once been attached to a coffin, functioning as handles that allowed people to lift or lower the coffin into the burial chamber. They even suggested that 2 long wooden poles may have been inserted through the bronze rings, allowing several people to carry the coffin more easily during the burial ceremony. However, this remains only a hypothesis. Researchers acknowledge that they still cannot determine the exact original purpose of these unusual artifacts. Besides helping transport the coffin, it is also possible that they carried a symbolic or religious meaning that has yet to be fully understood. What makes this theory especially interesting is the important role of lion imagery in the ancient world. From Egypt and Greece to Rome, lions were always associated with strength, courage, authority, and nobility. In Greek and Roman society, lion images were often placed at city gates, palaces, temples, fountains, and cemeteries, based on the belief that they could protect both the living and the souls of the dead. Therefore, when examining the entire context of the tomb at Khirbet Ibreka, Israel, researchers believe that the 4 bronze lion heads may have represented the high social status of the person buried there. At the same time, some experts have proposed an even more fascinating possibility. They suggest that these artifacts may have represented the wheel of the zodiac or the wheel of life, symbols connected to the cycle of existence, death, and the journey into the afterlife. After nearly 1,900 years, the 4 bronze lion heads continue to silently preserve secrets that modern science has not yet been able to fully decode. Regardless of their true purpose, the discovery at Khirbet Ibreka has helped us better understand the art and burial customs of ancient Romans. It also reminds us that every archaeological artifact can contain a story far greater than what appears on the surface. And perhaps in the future, a new technology or another discovery will finally reveal the true message that these mysterious lion heads have protected for nearly 2 millennia. Until then, we can only wait and see what answers history will eventually reveal. 1,600-year-old gold glass fragment buried beneath Rome leaves archaeologists amazed. The city of Rome, one of the most famous cities in Italy, is a place where millions of people continue to travel through its streets every day. Yet, almost no one realizes that directly beneath those roads lies an entire world that has been buried for thousands of years. To archaeologists, Rome is like a massive historical chronicle written in stone, brick, and countless priceless artifacts. Whenever a new construction project begins, history has another chance to reveal its hidden stories. And that is exactly what happened during a recent excavation carried out for the construction of the city's subway system. Experts discovered a small but extremely valuable artifact, so rare that they admitted they had never found anything similar before. It was a gold glass fragment dating back more than 1,600 years, featuring the image of the goddess Roma, the sacred symbol of the Roman Empire. Although it was only a surviving piece of a larger object, it revealed an entire story about luxury, extraordinary craftsmanship, and a civilization that once dominated much of Europe. This rare discovery was made during the construction of Porta Matronia Station on Metro Line C in Rome, Italy. In recent years, whenever infrastructure projects take place in Rome, archaeologists work alongside construction teams because they understand that digging only a few feet below the surface can uncover traces of the ancient city. And this time was no exception. While excavating the ground at the station site, experts discovered this gold glass fragment dating back to the 4th century AD. At first, the artifact did not appear particularly impressive. However, after being cleaned and carefully examined, archaeologists quickly realized that they were holding an extraordinary treasure. The most remarkable feature of the artifact is the incredibly detailed image of the goddess Roma. In ancient Roman culture, the goddess Roma was not only a symbol of the city itself, but also represented the power, strength, and eternal legacy of the entire Roman Empire. On the glass fragment, the goddess appears with flowing curly hair, a warrior's helmet, and a spear in her hand, portraying the majestic image of an empire that once changed the course of world history. According to Simona Moretta, an archaeologist from the Special Superintendency for Archaeology, Fine Arts, and Landscape of Rome, gold glass artifacts are already extremely rare. However, what makes this discovery truly priceless is that archaeologists had never before found a gold glass piece decorated with an image of the goddess Roma. Because of this, the artifact immediately attracted special attention from experts studying ancient Rome after it was officially announced. Through analysis, archaeologists believe that this fragment was most likely once the base of a drinking cup. However, whether the cup was used during banquets, religious ceremonies, or simply displayed as a decorative object remains uncertain. This mystery has only increased its value in the eyes of researchers. Just imagine, more than 1,600 years ago, how complex must the manufacturing process have been to create a cup like this? Roman craftsmen had to place an extremely thin layer of gold leaf between two layers of transparent glass, creating a luxurious appearance while protecting the gold from the effects of time. This technique first appeared during the Hellenistic period, but only the most skilled artisans were capable of carrying it out. During the Roman era, gold glass objects were considered luxury items that only appeared among aristocrats and wealthy members of society. Therefore, the owner of this cup was likely someone with a high social status. Interestingly, after the cup was broken, the base featuring the image of the goddess Roma appears to have been preserved rather than discarded. According to Simona Moretta, the cup could no longer be repaired, but the valuable base may have been carefully removed and reused as a decoration on furniture or displayed on a wall as a piece of artwork. This shows how highly ancient people valued the object. The gold glass fragment was not the only important discovery. Excavations related to the Metro C project over the years have continuously revealed significant archaeological findings, helping scientists better understand the history of Rome. Because of this, once completed, Porta Matronia Station will not simply be an ordinary subway station. It will also include a small archaeological museum area displaying the precious glass fragment along with many other artifacts discovered nearby. According to the plan, this location was expected to open in 2024, giving residents and visitors the opportunity to see first-hand treasures that had been buried for thousands of years. Speaking about the discovery, Roberto Gualtieri, the mayor of Rome, stated that excavations during the construction of Metro Line C had brought countless remarkable discoveries, and the gold glass cup base featuring the goddess Roma was one of the most impressive artifacts among them. Perhaps this is exactly what makes Rome one of the most extraordinary cities in the world. Because here, history has never truly fallen asleep. Every time a layer of earth is removed, humanity has another chance to uncover a precious fragment of Roman civilization's memory, helping us better understand one of the most brilliant empires in human history. 4 female skulls in an ancient Inca village reveal the dark secrets of a powerful empire. History often remembers the Inca Empire as one of the greatest civilizations to ever exist in the Andes region of South America. Famous for its magnificent stone structures, a vast road network stretching thousands of miles, and an astonishing ability to organize society. However, like many other powerful empires throughout history, behind that glorious image there were still hidden and lesser-known dark chapters. And sometimes, those secrets are only revealed hundreds of years later, when archaeologists begin digging deeper into the earth. An excavation at the ancient village of Iglesia Colorada, located at the foothills of the Andes in an area that once belonged to the Inca Empire, is a perfect example. During an investigation of the remains of this ancient settlement, archaeologists made a discovery that left everyone deeply disturbed. That discovery was 4 human skulls, but the marks preserved on them revealed a haunting story about how a ruling power once used fear as a tool to maintain control. As you know, human remains are not uncommon discoveries at ancient settlements. However, this discovery was completely different. Instead of a burial site containing complete skeletons and grave goods according to traditional Inca customs, researchers found only 4 skulls scattered among an area that appeared to be an ancient trash pit, filled with broken pottery, food remains, and everyday waste from centuries ago. What attracted the attention of experts most was that each skull contained intentional holes created in almost identical locations. Around the site, there were no remaining bones from the rest of the bodies, and researchers found no evidence of graves or any objects buried alongside the individuals. This was completely different from traditional Inca burial practices, which placed great importance on properly honoring and burying the dead. To uncover the truth, a research team from the National Museum of Natural History in Santiago, Chile, conducted detailed examinations of the skulls. The results revealed that all four belonged to very young females. Among them, 3 individuals were estimated to have been between 16 and 30 years old, while the youngest was only around 11 to 13 years old. Furthermore, the bone density of all the victims was extremely low, suggesting that they had suffered from severe malnutrition for a long period before their deaths. Just imagine, what could have caused these young girls to share such a tragic fate? Why were they not buried according to normal customs, but instead left behind only as skulls with strange holes carved into them? These questions encourage scientists to continue their investigation. After analyzing the marks preserved on the bones, the archaeological team discovered evidence suggesting that the flesh and skin from the victims' heads had been deliberately removed after death. The holes in the skulls were likely not caused by weapons during a battle. Instead, they appear to have been created so that ropes could be inserted, allowing the skulls to be strung together and used in rituals. According to the hypothesis proposed by the researchers, these young women may have been enemies or opponents of local rulers. After being executed, their skulls were preserved and transformed into symbols designed to spread fear throughout the community. Researchers describe this as a form of terror-based power, a system in which brutality was used as a tool to control the population and intimidate anyone who dared to challenge authority. Another detail that particularly caught the attention of experts was that none of the discovered skulls belonged to males. According to the research team, this may have been because men at the time were often kept as laborers or slaves, while women became targets for execution and were used in rituals intended to send a warning message. Although this remains only a hypothesis, it may help explain why all the victims were very young females. However, archaeologists also emphasize that this discovery does not represent the entire Inca civilization. Based on current evidence, this form of violence was most likely limited to a specific ruling group or local authority rather than being a widespread practice throughout the entire empire. This shows that even within a powerful civilization, there could be many different periods of history and very different forms of governance. The Inca Empire emerged in the early 13th century and expanded for many centuries, leaving behind countless achievements and architectural wonders that continue to amaze the world today. But the 4 small skulls discovered at Iglesia Colorada remind us that behind the glory of any empire, there can also be painful and tragic chapters of history. And perhaps beneath the soil of the magnificent Andes Mountains, many more secrets are still waiting for archaeologists to uncover. Secrets that may help humanity better understand the forgotten and darker sides of the Inca civilization. It is certainly possible because that is exactly how the ancient world has always been: mysterious, difficult to understand, and always capable of surprising us. Dear friends, we have just explored together some terrifying archaeological discoveries that have revealed surprising secrets from the past. Every skeleton, every artifact, and every trace left behind is a valuable piece of the puzzle that helps humanity better understand our history. But perhaps beneath the ground, there are still countless untold stories waiting to be brought into the light. So, at this moment, which discovery impressed you the most? Let us know by leaving a comment below. And if you enjoy mysterious journeys of exploration like this, don't forget to follow Ancient History by subscribing to the channel and turning on the notification bell so that you can continue discovering the incredible secrets hidden within the flow of time with us. For now, thank you for watching, goodbye, and we'll see you again soon.